As a prolific writer, do you have any new books or projects you would like to share with our audience? And if so, how might they purchase or be involved in the projects?
Well, before I get to new books, let me start with my latest book. This is my latest book, You Never Miss Your Water Till Your Well Runs Dry. It came out at the end of 2014, but it's really a 2015 book. I wrote it because, to be honest, I was in the hospital when I had a heart attack in 2013. Fortunately, it was not the real big kind, and I started to realize my mortality in terms of living and start looking at other people's mortality, because other people, great people, start just passing away. For example, Mary Baraka, Maya Angelou, so many of my people who I looked up to, and Nelson Mandela, and it was so many of these people leaving out of here that I said, you know, I have to acknowledge that. And one thing I need to say, one thing that to make very clear, one of my mentors, Dr. Malefi Asante, taught me that we have to look at things through Afrocentric eyes. We cannot just try to see what other people do and mimic them and think that that's the way to get things done. If you look at things through Afrocentric eyes, especially even something as key as death, what you'll find out in Africa is that they honor their heroes. They don't just let them pass away. They honor them every year. They come back, and they don't let their memory die. And that's one thing that I noticed, that after something's been on the 6 o'clock news, then we move on. That we don't understand, except for people like Larry Ham or Pop, obviously, who I feel got a very Afrocentric mind. We don't acknowledge the people who paved the way for us. We would not be here had it not been for standing on the shoulders of people who so desperately fought for us to have the rights. Fannie Lou Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer, to Martin Luther King, I just saw a special the other day by Dr. Lewis Gates, what I would recommend to show our whole history. And we've gone through a lot. We've seen a lot, we've done a lot, and there's still a lot to do, as Black Lives Matter movement has shown. And so we need to understand that, and this is my contribution to acknowledging those people who passed before us and did all they could do to pave the way for us. But my next piece, in view of the things that are happening out here, especially to our youth in the street, the young men who are dying and being killed in the street by police or even by their own, it's so disturbing to me that sometimes I hate to even turn on the news. So, but what I feel is that, believe is that this should not happen in a democratic society, and so which is supposed to be by the people for the people. If your society is by the people for the people, your people shouldn't be dying in the street, and there should be an uproar or uprising of folks to stop this, and also not over dying in the street, but being imprisoned and locked up. We have so many young men being locked up and going to jail that we need to address this and do something about it, because you're taking people out of the community that could help make the community better. So my next book is it's almost ready. It's going to be called The Hypocrisy of Democracy, because I don't feel that you say it's a democracy, but when you look around, you don't see the benefits of a true democracy. And so I feel that I get some pieces where I clearly point this out. And one of the biggest examples is a person with my namesake, Craig Garner, was killed right on the street by the police, and the person that did it was never brought to trial, was never even had to go to trial to be found guilty of it. He was let go. I just found out he even received a raise in pay. So, just lately, this guy in Virginia, this officer in Virginia, he shot a man while he was running away, and shot him point blank about 6 or 8 times, and they couldn't even get a verdict on him, and he says that he was in fear for his life. So with these types of things still going on, we really need to step up our game, engage our community, and number one, why do our youth end up in these situations in the first place, and what's going on or what's not going on to prevent that, and where are our leaders in terms of addressing this?
Right.
Not only political leaders, church leaders, and anyone else to say enough.
Right.
And because it's like Marvin said, Gage said, what's going on, man? It's just not good. Yeah. And I hate to end on a down note like that, but that's where we are today. That's where we are, and you, like you said, I don't mince my words. I tell it like it is, and I hope and pray that one day we will find that better nation, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, where people are judged by the content of their character instead of their skin color. Right. And absolutely. Be able to move forth.
Absolutely, and that's a good way to end. Many people are disheartened by the result of the election, but sometimes it galvanizes you. You know, right. You know that you have to get together. Right. So people, let's get ourselves together. Come on now. We can all, it starts with the first step, and then once you do the first step, the second step is easier, and then you do it. Let's galvanize ourselves, because once we galvanize ourselves, no one can stop us. If you study history, and Mr. Garner can back me up on this, we have been a powerful people, always will be a powerful people, but you got to use the power people. Now, the final thing before we end, is there a way that someone can contact you if they want to, you know, get any of your books? Is there any kind of contact?
Yes, all of my books are on Amazon, Amazon.com. Just Google me, Craig A. Garner, not just Craig Garner, Craig A. Garner. On Amazon.com, you could look and find me on my website, craigspoetryworld.com. I'm also on Barnes & Noble. My books are on barnesandnoble.com. And if push comes to shove, you actually can contact my publisher at wordassociation.com. So, or you can just contact me at my number, which is 973-493-9578, which is my cell number, but also my business number.
Okay, please get in touch with Mr. Garner. You will not be disappointed. Mr. Garner, we used to have a saying, I'm going to give my age away. We used to say, he tells it as it is. That's an old expression, but he tells it how it is. You'll love his poetry. You love the fact that he tells the truth. And as he's mentioned, he will let you have some bit of history in it, and you won't even know that you got the history in it. So take advantage. I thank you for being a guest. I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Continue to do the good work that you're doing. We thank you so much for watching the show, and I'm very fortunate. Mr. Garner has gifted me this, so I have something that I will be reading, and I'm going to become a much more educated person for it because I've heard Mr. Garner's poetry. Thank you guys for looking at the show, and thank you again for Mr. Garner for being a guest.
Thank you, man.
Yes, we'll look forward. We'll see you guys again soon.